business to actually under promise and over deliver, and actually just launch it when you're ready. And we did that with everything. Like we launched exchange out of nowhere, right? It was a total surprise to everyone. It caused the Bitcoin price to go up like 10-20%. Back then the Bitcoin price was like $300, if you remember.
Yeah,
it went
I remember.
from like 260 to 300 in like a day because we launched GDAX. Back then it was called Coinbase Exchange. But yeah, that's the way Coinbase has always worked.
All right, well, definitely some interesting insight there. So let's talk about the selling your Litecoin. You mentioned it a little bit earlier. I've got to say, when I saw this tweet from you, it was a few months ago now, I was absolutely shocked. Can you maybe discuss a little bit about what you tweeted and what you did and what your general thoughts are?
Yeah, I was pretty shocked when I saw that too myself. Yeah, so I'll give you some idea what went out what I was thinking of. So I was I think over the past like year, I realized how much influence I had over the price. And a lot of times when I was tweeting a lot. So a lot of times when I was tweeting, I saw like the price go up. And I just always question, like, am I like kind of pumping Litecoin to help me financially, or is this like the best for the coin? Right. So I decided that I kind of want to separate the two. Like I've made quite a bit from Litecoin already, and I can actually focus and work on Litecoin full time now without having to work for someone else. So given that, I don't need to tie my future finances with Litecoin, and I can sell everything right now or back then and just focus on a project and not have to worry about like the price of the coin, how that's going to affect my wealth, I guess. So and I think certain decisions where not to talk about the coin, where not to like post a tweet, could affect the short-term price of Litecoin, yet be harmful for the future of not be the best move for the project itself, and vice versa, right? By not saying something now that would help the price today would be best for the project, right? So like certain things, if I announce things today, it's going to help the price in the short term, but it's not the best move for the project. So I think I just want to separate the two and just focus on the project as opposed to the price.
Yeah, but if you're going to hold it for forever, then you're in for the long term, right? You don't have to worry if it swings day to day because like you're going the whole way. So I feel a little bit like, to some people, it felt like you're kind of, I mean, I know this isn't really what it is, but you're sort of the CEO of Litecoin, kind of, in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the CEO sold his shares. So I feel like a lot of people felt that, you weren't getting behind it. Like, I guess maybe my viewpoint is it's totally fine to make money in anything as long as you do it the right way. And if your heart really is set on, I'm going to make sure that for the long-term success of Litecoin, I'm going to do the right thing, then who cares if you make money? Like, that's all in the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, who cares if I don't, right? On the flip side of it. So
Sure.
For me, it's unlike the CEO where without shares in the company, they have no incentive to make the company better. For Litecoin, for me, I mean, this is the coin I created, right? So if it does well, I get other benefits that more so than financial, right? Like recognition, like all around people recognize me as the creator of Litecoin, a $10 billion coin, right? So, I mean, helping Litecoin succeed does more good for me than just the financial benefit. And yeah, so it's rewarding by itself without the financial benefit.
Yeah, it's your baby, man. Like, you created
Yeah.
something that has actually changed the world. Like, how many people can say that?
Yeah, not yet. It hasn't changed the world yet.
I mean, how many billions does it have to go to before you can say that? Not even going to answer. I like it.
No.
All right, moving on. All right. So this was another good question that I got. Again, shout out to our cryptocurrency. They had a lot of really great questions. It's another one that I got, and it was, if you could change one thing about Litecoin, what would it be? And it could be technical or non-technical. It could be whatever you want. If you could go back in time and change one thing, what would it be?
I'll give you a funny answer. I'll call
Like
it Bitcoin. I'll call it Bitcoin Lite.
Bitcoin Lite. Nice.
For a serious answer, if I can change one thing, I would say I should have stayed anonymous like Satoshi did.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I actually, it's kind of beautiful with the way that the whole Satoshi thing has sort of played out, because I think that it's quite likely Satoshi's actually passed away, but in the chance that he's actually still here, he doesn't have to deal with all this bullshit. He doesn't have to deal with people being like, why did you sell some Bitcoin, man? Like, he doesn't have to deal with any of that. So, and I also do think that, yeah, in some ways it makes Bitcoin a little weaker to not have, its founder there speaking for it. But in other ways, it kind of makes it stronger, because it kind of glues the community more together, and it's less based around a person. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a trade-off. I think for Bitcoin, this was like the best move that Satoshi could have done, because to be like the most decentralized currency, the king of cryptocurrency, without a leader, there's nothing for anyone to attack. Right? So people attack me all the time, and they hurt Litecoin when they do that. And there's a central figure for people to attack. And if in the future, let's say governments want to take down Bitcoin, it's much harder, because you can't you can't attack or can put someone in jail and really hurt the coin, right? And I think hopefully they won't do that to me, but but then on the flip side is with me around, things can be more efficient, right? I can kind of push forth my vision and try to steer Litecoin towards what I believe is the best path. Whereas with Bitcoin, there is no central figure to do that, and you have people like Roger Ver coming out and saying that this is not Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin because it follows the white paper closely. And there's no one to come out to say that, no, Roger, you're wrong, because I didn't design Bitcoin to be like Bitcoin Cash. Whereas like if, for example, with Litecoin Cash came out, I can come out and say, hey, this Litecoin is my vision. Litecoin Cash is just someone else's project. It's not the real Litecoin.
What exactly was Litecoin Cash? I saw I believe you call it a scam. And so I was like, I'm not even going to look into this because it doesn't really matter. But what was Litecoin Cash?
Litecoin Cash is, I guess it's kind of similar to Bitcoin Gold, where they forked Litecoin, changed the proof of work algorithm, and pre-mined a bunch of coins. So it followed the same path as Bitcoin Gold. So I called it a scam because, for one, they basically pre-mined a lot of coins and tried to pump it. And by using the name Litecoin, it got a lot of people thinking that it's a legit fork of Litecoin, or a coin that I supported. So in that sense, it's a scam. I actually don't know what's going on with Litecoin right now, whether or not it's maintained, whether the project is still going on, what the price is. I haven't kept track of it. And since I didn't really own any Litecoin, I don't have any Litecoin Cash either.
You missed out, man. Litecoin Cash could be the future. Speaking of Bitcoin Gold, just off topic here for a moment, I actually liked the premise of what Bitcoin Gold was trying to do. I didn't really look too far into it because it didn't seem like something that was going to really take off. But they tried to take away the ASIC mining, right?
Yeah, they made it. They switched it to what, Equihash or something. They made it more like GPU mineable. Yeah.
I worry about that sometimes when I look at the mining, particularly in Bitcoin, where you start to look at some of these mining pools and some of the big players, and you start to feel like, yeah, there are certain people that do end up having a lot of power because of how much of the mining pool that they control. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a temporary problem. I think we're seeing like more players jumping into Bitcoin mining. I mean, even here, like Samsung is looking into it. So there's like the Halong miners. There's a few other companies doing it. I think it's going to be more and more players, and it won't be like just one player dominating the whole space. It was definitely a bad thing with one player dominating the whole space. I think it's the major reason why SegWit took so long to activate, is because this one player did not like SegWit, whether it's because it broke their ASIC boost, their covert ASIC boost, or whether because they actually do believe that SegWit hurts their future profitability. Whatever the case is, SegWit was delayed because Bitcoin mining was centralized.
I'm sure that they said that they would tell themselves that it's because it's not the right thing for Bitcoin. But I mean, if it's going to affect you financially, then obviously you have a stake in the game for what happens, right? So
Correct. And it's Bitcoin is designed for everyone to be selfish. So if Bitmain really believe that SegWit hurts their business, then they have every right to block it.
So let's talk about Roger Ver for a little bit here, because I saw your tweet to Roger where you just said basically, stop calling it Bitcoin Core. Nobody calls it that other than you. Stop confusing people. Why are you, or whatever your tweet said. Can you expand a little bit on the whole Roger Ver thing and what your opinion is?
The funny thing is, a lot of people replied to that. A lot of Bitcoin Cash supporters replied to that and said, I also call it Bitcoin Core. I'm like, I mean, I don't like Bitcoin Cash. I think, in a sense that it's very similar to all these other altcoins out there. I mean, there's already Litecoin that's doing something similar. I mean, it's kind of just the only saving grace is that it's called Bitcoin, and that's why they hate the name Bcash so much. Even though I think it's actually a better name for SEO, or even just the name itself is actually a cool and easy to remember name and easy to say. Bitcoin Cash is such a mouthful. But then they want to keep the word Bitcoin there because they want to be the real Bitcoin. So if the word Bitcoin is not there, then they can't be Bitcoin. And that's also, I believe, why they want to call Bitcoin Bitcoin Core, because then you pull Bitcoin down to the same level as Bitcoin Cash. One is some Bitcoin Cash supporters are saying like Bitcoin no longer exists because it's split into two. There's Bitcoin Core and there's Bitcoin Cash. Yeah, you're shaking your head. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what they're pushing. That's the narrative they're pushing, right? They're pushing for, so that it confuses people and people realize, hey, there's two Bitcoins, and I think Bitcoin Cash is a better Bitcoin. I think that's just disingenuous, and I called Roger out on that and saying that, like, everyone calls it Bitcoin. Like, you're calling it Bitcoin Core just to pull it down and just stop.